Go ahead.
Thank you. Very good. We're going to call this meeting to order. We barely got through our last
Before you call it
meeting.
order, we got to-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We have been, when we finished our long executive session, long meeting, we were in executive session. We are now coming out of executive session, and we need to re-adjourn. I'm going to recognize Councilman Carter.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we return to the regular session from work session.
Everyone in favor? Any opposed?
No, I'll just announce that no action was taken in executive session.
Okay.
All right, so calling this meeting to order. Thank you for coming this evening. We have a full house, and you will soon realize why we also have a number of our officers here tonight as well as we move through the beginning of the meeting. Our invocation will be given by Sergeant Spencer Crawford. Sergeant Crawford has been with the Villa Rica Police Department since January of 2013. After a 12-year career with the newspapers of West Georgia as a writer and editor. That's what you were doing when I came.
Yes, ma'am.
He has been a supervisor for nearly 6 years for the VRPD, both on night shift and day shift, and is currently the sergeant over D shift. And D shift, thanks guys. And you'll also be doing the pledge as well, correct?
That's what I was told, yes, ma'am.
That's right. Knows how to follow orders, yes, sir. Okay, if you'd stand with us, please.
Let us pray. O Lord, my God, great architect of the universe, I come to you tonight to humbly ask for you to lay guidance and wisdom on the elected officials and department heads to make decisions that are best for the city, its residents, and its employees. Please watch over us all and place your benevolent hands on our lives, but most importantly, let your will be done. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have a few ceremonial presentations tonight, and we're going to begin with the Gold Award for the North Wastewater Plant. Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Go ahead and introduce
Thank
yourself
you.
so
Hello,
everyone
Mayor
will know.
and City Council. My name is Kathy Wynn. I am the president of the Georgia Association of Water Professionals. We are a professional organization representing about 5,000 water professionals throughout the state who are tasked with preserving our rivers, streams, lakes, also providing safe drinking water and sanitation to all the citizens of Georgia. And it's my pleasure today to be here to recognize the Villa Rica water system for a recognition. They have received a Wastewater Gold Award for the North Sweetwater WPCP. You may not understand what a significant award this is, but the wastewater plant has gone the entire year without getting any permit violations. And when I was talking to Mr. Bain this morning, he mentioned that he attributes much of that to the buy-in that he has received from the city council and from you, Mayor, supporting the changes that he wanted to make at Villa Rica Water to improve their wastewater treatment. And it really is about a partnership between the municipalities and their leadership and also the utilities. And this award really shows the hard work of the Villa Rica water system and also the investment and the faith and commitment that you all as a board have made to that organization and to the citizens of Villa Rica. So it's my pleasure to be here today to recognize them as fellow water professionals who are excelling in our industry. And so I'm going to ask if John Bain, Eric Brose, James McBurnett, and Joe Horton could come up and receive the award. have anything you'd like to say?
Next, we want to recognize two of our employees for recognition of years of service. Are both our employees here? Okay. All right. Who you doing the presentations? Okay.
All right, but I'm going to speak into this mic? Oh, okay. Fantastic. All right. I wrote a thing. My name is Rachel Lynn, and I'm the manager at the Villa Rica Public Library. And we're here to recognize Jennifer Holtz, who is the assistant manager of the public library for 10 years of service. So just really quick, normally Jennifer reads all of the important things I write, but that seemed awkward. So we'll see if I did okay on my own. Y'all tell me, okay? It is an amazing honor to serve at the Villa Rica community alongside our assistant manager, Jennifer Holt. She is a great advocate for the mission of the library, offering everyone she encounters respect and kindness that makes them feel welcome. In everything she does, Jennifer takes great care. She is patient with patron needs, fair with her staff, and attentive to the daily minutiae of running a thriving library. She is a careful and conscientious steward with all that is entrusted to her and always follows her values. When Jennifer is in the building, there's a general feeling of calm because most likely all of the tricky details of the day have already been attended to before we even get started. Her many strengths create a firm foundation for the work that we do. We make a great team, and I'm lucky to have Jennifer here in Villa Rica to collaborate with every day.
Should I just stay down there? Okay, Tracy Jarvis, come on up here. She's got an employee with 5 years of service.
Come on up, Renee. She acts a little shy, but if you really know her, you know she's pretty sassy, right? So, but when I first came to work here, Renee was working with Nick, and she did administration work with Nick, custodial, whatnot. And I first met her, we was over in the closet at Powell Park. That was my office when I first got here.
You might want to say that.
Well, you know, hey, I worked out of my truck for 2 weeks. The closet was an upgrade. But when she would come over that attitude, always happy, smiling, you know, introduced herself to me. Did get a chance, an opening in community, an opening in community development came up for administrative assistant, and so she applied and she got there and went to work immediately, and has just did. And she did a phenomenal job ever since she's been there, and just a hard worker. She went from got on the HPC. She was the board secretary for that, the P&Z Commission, Joint Commission, went and got training for administrative, got training for helping out in business license. I mean, she's just been all over the place. And if you know anything about building maintenance, we spend a lot of money, so she's got a lot of administrative duties that she does. But, you know, she's just overall a great blessing to be around. But, you know, saying all this, the greatest testimony that I can give about her is she's a beautiful person. I mean, just loving, kind, will pray with you, will cry with you, great Christian woman, loves Jesus, and we've had our times. I mean, if I'm down and out or anybody's down and out, I mean, she's there like to lift you up, to pray for you, and just a beautiful person. And the city of Villa Rica is blessed. I'm blessed to know you and to be part of your life. And I love you, kid. Here's your award.
Wait a minute, we got to get here.
If I ever was an employee here, I think I'd have Tracy do mine for me so you could see how wonderful I am. Just kidding. No. Behave yourself now. I'm going to do the next part, and I'm going to have to kind of do this off the cuff. Didn't have time to write the notes and everything, but most of them are in my head, and there's a reason why I wanted to have some of our officers here, because it dates. Here I have the incident report, which I read in detail, but on April 21st, and it started prior to 3:30, the incident at 3:30, what happened was there were some people that decided to organize an event in Carroll County, down toward Carrollton area, but it was within the county, and they were told they could not do this. Had to do with, say, drag racing and what they call laying drag and all these things that I don't know. I guess maybe teenagers, but it was. If you've seen any of the video, it was an extremely dangerous event. A car did go into the crowd at one time. There were people in the middle. There were people on the outside. This was all happening in Carroll County, not specifically in Villa Rica, although these people came from all over. What I got from the law enforcement, because Georgia Patrol was involved, Sheriff's Department, was Carrollton PD, they have to come up. It involved multiple agencies. But there were extreme speeds on 61, so you could have been out on Saturday afternoon, driving down 61 to Carrollton, Home Depot, whatever it is, and have somebody go by you at 100 miles per hour and going in and out of traffic. It was extremely dangerous, but what happened was orders were not being followed down from Carroll County. They were having a hard time dispersing the crowd. There is drone footage of what occurred that day, and I'm sure I haven't seen everything that's on y'all's cameras. But when it finally was dispersed down there, a number of the cars, people in them, came up here to our QT just by Walmart. Okay, the QT by there. About 300, I believe, about 300 people, about 100 cars. Imagine that being in there. QT called 911. They were concerned. All their pumps were blocked. Customers could not get in and out. They couldn't get in and out. So imagine you're in there with your grandkids or whatever, and this whole mass of people and cars come in, and you don't even know how you're going to leave. Yes, it was a rowdy group, but in the end, and I know that Sergeant Crawford gave commendations to each of his officers, and there's a reason, because the situation they were thrown into with a very small group, when you're talking about 100 people, they came in from different directions and ended up being separated from one another, being surrounded one of our officers had pulled over one of the cars. I've seen a little bit of video online from this. It was a hostile environment, and the orders to disperse were ignored, and they had to call for help. It was a rather scary situation that could have gone down very differently had one of these officers made one wrong move. So they had to be very calm and cool about how they were going to handle this. That is why they are here tonight. Their sergeant has given them a commendation, but Sergeant Crawford is the commanding officer on scene. And I don't have a commendation for you other than to say thank you, because you were the commanding officer, and that is tribute to your shift that was there to deal with this. And he's going to come up and say a few words and share maybe a little bit more about your officers. But if you would thank them for me, both Sergeant Crawford and the entire shift.
Hey, I'm Sergeant Crawford. I wrote this because I'm not a public speaker. Most of the time I was a writer before I became a cop. So, but anyway, I did want to say a couple things. This is everybody on my shift but one. One was off in training that day, so otherwise this is D shift right here. And one thing I wanted to point out is, of the 7 standing here, including myself, there are 54 years of law enforcement experience. 4 of those have 52 years of those 54 years. So you can look at the gray hair and the no hair and all that and figure that out. But I'm not going to name names, but 3 of them had less than 2 years of experience combined, and one of them had 6 weeks. So I say all that to say this. Think of when you have an insolent child and they won't listen to you. We had 7 of us, and we had roughly 300 insolent children, and some of them may have had guns because we were told reports of shots fired up in Carrollton before this happened and everything else. So that puts it in a little bit in perspective. When we got there, we were shocked at the number. We knew they were starting to build because I had already ordered officers to keep an eye on the quick trip, but I didn't realize the numbers until we couldn't do anything. It's private property until Quick Trip called us. They finally did. That's why it grew that large. But I say all that to say this about the experience. It wasn't an individual effort. We were all literally separated. If you've seen the videos, because we've become YouTube and TikTok and everything else famous, but Officer Merrill made a traffic stop on one that was burning rubber, laying drag coming into the parking lot. He was completely surrounded on his traffic stop. Completely. He called for help. And when I say completely surrounded, he's on a traffic stop and they were 5 foot from his back. He called for help. We tried to get to him, and we were literally separated to where I didn't even have visual of him. So all 7 of these officers were separated from each other and surrounded. So the fact that I shouldn't say younger, none of them are really young, but my newer officers, that could have gone bad in so many ways, because if they just made one wrong move or said one wrong thing or anything, they could have been jumped at some point. And handling a crowd that large with such a few number is very difficult. I can attest, in my 12 years of policing, that was only the second time I've had a crowd that large that was that dangerous, in my opinion. So, but it was not an individual effort. It was a team effort. This is my team. They don't work for me. We work with each other. So it was a team effort. They all handled themselves well, and I did eventually have to call for help. And I want to thank the Carroll County deputies and the members of the Georgia State Patrol who answered our call for help. It was a welcome sound to hear sirens coming from every direction and a line of blue lights pulling up to assist us. So, but I just want to commend my team.
And if I could just mention you real quick by name, just give a little wave. Obviously, Sergeant Crawford, but Corporal Chase Gordy. Officer Deborah Williams, guess which one? Officer Jamarco Claiborne. Officer Tim Merrill. and Officer Darius Mitchell. Thank you. Thank you. And you're dismissed. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Sergeant. You know, even if you have a lot of training, I think until you've been in a situation like that, you just have no idea, you know, how scary it can be. But that's why they're there. They're there to make sure that people were safe, both down in that area and up in the, and on Highway 61 if you're out just driving somewhere to run an errand and these things start occurring. We need to make a change to the agenda. So for the adoption of the agenda,
Yes.
Councilman Carter.
Okay, the change to the agenda, item C, which is city manager, will be replaced by the human resources item, which is at the bottom of the list. Item C1 will be deleted. And I move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Okay. We have I don't need to announce it. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting the agenda? Any opposed? All right, we're going to move into public comment time. I did not bring my statement that I usually have, so I'll kind of wing it. We didn't have any break time between our meetings. Just that you say your name and address. You can speak about any comment that is of concern to you, or if you want to thank, it can be any topic. It doesn't have to be on the agenda, that you'd state your name and address for the record. And you can be passionate, but we always want to be polite and civil at the same time. So if, do I have a list? It's up here. Thank you. All righty.
Mayor, one thing to remember is it's 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. You have 3 minutes to share your comments. If there's more people, if there's, 5 people that want to be represented by one, that's fine too. And that's it. Okay, so first name, Jackie Childress. Pass? Okay. Is it Molly? And your last name, Molly? Elder. Okay.
I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone. My name is Molly Elder, and I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Jodella Chisholm, at 127 Cleghorn Street. And I'm here to voice my concern regarding the easement that is being asked of the residents on Cleghorn and Anderson Street. And of course, after meeting, it's been several weeks ago, a little more maybe, when many of the residents met with the city manager, Tom Barber, to express our concerns regarding the easement. And the other day, last week, I had an opportunity to go by and ride up and down Anderson and Cleghorn to see where some of the residents' property had been staked out, which I was even more concerned once I saw where the stakes were. And some of my concerns, after looking, that jumped out at me, there's not enough room. Yes, I am not, and I think the community as a whole is not against beautifying, making the area look better, but not at the expense of putting children in danger. To add a sidewalk on both sides of the road, the yards in that area or the homes are so small, and in order to put the sidewalks there, then that means that the children have less yard to play in, which puts them in danger of being hit by cars. That was one of the concerns that I saw if you were to expand by adding sidewalks in the area. In addition to, there's no room for the homeowners. If they wanted to expand, they couldn't expand nowhere in their yard because, again, they have very limited yards. And I am very concerned that doing so I don't see where it's gonna benefit the community. I think it was, raised that perhaps, the foot traffic, the sidewalks would benefit people walking up and down the street. As of today, there's very little foot traffic. So I don't see why and how you could justify putting sidewalks if you're putting sidewalks for foot traffic, because it may change tomorrow, but as of today, there's not enough. And I think the money could be better spent to repave from one end of Clearcorn to the end of Anderson, repave the street, put up more lightings, lamps, light posts, as opposed to expanding and adding sidewalks.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Pamela White?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pamela White with 102 Anderson Road here in Villa Rica. We, the citizens, home and property owners in the Clearcorn, Anderson, and the adjacent streets community, have yet to receive a proper and adequate response from any city officials concerning easements and property of the property owners. We stand in solidarity that we are not opposed to change, but it will not be at the cost of our land or our homes. We will put up the fight. Two things can happen. Those that voted to put our land and homes at stake without not giving us no type of advance notice. They just voted, got up here and voted for it. No one ever told us, never received a letter, only for it to be sprung on us now. Two things can happen for those that voted. You can end up on the wrong side of history or the right side of history for the city of Villa Rica. We are woke. We will fight. We will not let you infringe on our property and just take it like it has meant nothing. Our home has been over 60-something years. We've never owed the city of Villa Rica one dime for nothing. Every time we tried to get help for our home, not home, but just for the area, no one responded. We never got one response. We've always been dismissed. And as we ask for answers from the city council, the city manager, everything is dismissive. You know, I see here, you know, as I look, we are not even listed as a general interest or concern on your agenda today. We've been calling for weeks just to get an answer. Nobody give us a call back. But people on the council can have people to call my home and harass me. I won't tolerate that. I'm not a politician. I don't get in politics. But I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of us as a community. We want better. We want better. But an easement, I think it'll be good to put up and let all the people see just what it is that the city is asking for. It's undoable. It's undoable. We are for change, but we're not for the city of Villa Rica taking our land and our homes that we worked hard for. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Peg Taylor?
Peg Taylor, 2120 Osprey Cove. So tonight, just some observations. So we had a prayer, we had a pledge, and I heard words when people were getting accommodations such as unity, stewardship. One of the ladies would pray with you and was acknowledged for being very kind. That's one thing that I would hope that was heard tonight, because as a council, y'all need to be unified. And so maybe you need to, I don't know if this is possible, but maybe you all can go away to some type of retreat and become better unified as a council. The other thing that concerned me from way back, so I don't know if this is a dead issue or not, but let's see, I wrote some notes down here. So back in November, I remember reading or hearing about our city manager dispersing some type of communication to some area of the city, stating that he would be resigning if our mayor was elected. I don't know if there's been any more information on that, but I just was bringing that up. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Joseph Newton. I said that right? Joseph Newton? Okay. James McBurnett. Did I say that correctly?
Those are guys in the sewer plant.
Oh, okay. Marshall Smith.
Good evening, everyone, and I certainly appreciate the residents of Cleghorn Street being here. I sympathize with your efforts, and I sympathize with what you're going through. I'd like to continue to say, Marshall Smith, 9636 Coastal Point Drive, Villa Rica, 404-358-3354. Many of you on the board might already know me. I've been up here a couple of times. But just to begin my story, back in 21, we had a HOA meeting in the clubhouse, and the guest was supposed to be, or it turns out it was, Mr. Barber. At that time, we had just been taken over by another development group. I say taken over. They had been in control for a while, and they had come up with plats, and different changes and what they expected to do with their property. We were concerned about it because we are Mirror Lake. We had formed an HOA. Mr. Barber did make it. He was driving from Savannah from another meeting he was at. And we gave him an opportunity to express his feelings. And this is his feelings. He says, with regards to the lot and development of Mirror Lake, I don't care what you do with the land or what they do with the land. All I'm concerned about is units. I want more units. At that time, that was in 21, I realized then there might be trouble ahead. And unfortunately, I was right. Mr. Barber, the people of Villa Rica, the citizens of Villa Rica, don't want more units, just units, no matter what you do with the land. That is not what we want. There used to be a plot here, and it was certain sections the city had decided. That was long before your time. I know you keep acting like you've been here for years, but you haven't. But there was a plot where everything was laid out, different zones, different things you could have in them. Overnight, that seemed to change. And now we've got what we've got in Villa Rica. I was at the work session this afternoon, and I was happy to see that a moratorium had been put on multifamily homes. And why do you think that is? It's because there was absolutely no concern that I could see from the bullying and pompous way that Mr. Barber managed his office.
Okay.
Many citizens have worked to get the government to change the charter. That's how bad it was. And now Mr. Barber works for the mayor, Leslie McPherson. She needs the support of all the council members, all of them. I know I'm running late, but she needs, give me just a couple of seconds. She needs to run her administration the way she wants to run it and not have an obstacle. And she does have an obstacle right now. It might look like it's changed, but it hasn't changed. That's all. I appreciate the time. I really do. Thank you.
Ken Willis. Ken Willis.
My name is Ken Willis. I live at 3012 Bridgewater, Catamaran Cove in the Bridgewater subdivision of Mirror Lake. And I'm here to talk to you tonight about what has become item number 6 on the consent agenda, which is the approval of the plat for Watersmith Phase 2. So there's some concerns that I would hope that the board had the chance to look at and address. The first and foremost being, if you looked at the plat, there's a lot of what's called open area or labeled open area. And what we know open area becomes is common area. Oh, by the way, I'm also the vice president of the Mirror Lake Community Association. So what we know open area becomes is common area of the community. Once the builder gets through, it's typically deeded over to the community, and the community becomes responsible for it. Of particular concern right now is a hillside located at the top of Topsoil Drive and Beacon Way in Watersmith Phase 2. If you haven't seen it, and this is just an eyeball, I would say it is roughly 65 to 70 degree slope that is roughly 50 to 70 feet high in height, and it's a totally uncovered open slope of, well, they were out there today when I rode by, they were throwing some kind of topsoil abatement down on top of it. But I think reasonably assure you, I would certainly not advocate that the HOA assume responsibility for that land, as I'm sure the builder would intend for us to do. I don't know what the resolution is. I don't know if the city would maintain that land. I don't think they would, given the status that it's in. But there needs to be something considered about how that land is right now, and what's the erosion protection? What's the HOA going to have to do if they accept that land? Again, the hillsides. And as you probably know, there's a lot of hillsides over there. They've been busting rock and tearing things up and resloping things. So I don't think that this is just an isolated concern. I think it's going to be a concern, an ongoing concern for the HOA and generally for the community. So that is what I would hope, that if it can be removed from the consent agenda, I think you would like to do it. I don't know what the PUD, there's nothing in the PUD about the slope. I don't know what the city guidelines are regarding a hillside that is essentially dirt, that is now going to be emptying into a roadway that the city will assume responsibility for eventually. It just needs addressed. So other than that, looking at the final plat, and I don't know if it's appropriate to have it on there, but there's no sidewalks indicated. And I know that the PUD requires sidewalks. So again, it just may be my ignorance about whether or not they should appear on that final plat or not. I guess the other thing I'm curious about is looking at the motion. It mentions that this motion and this approval has to occur before building permits and building can occur. There's 2 structures already being built. There's 2 slabs down there. There's 2 homes being built right now. So is it a formality? Do we really not have to have the board approval of the plat before building occurs? Because building is in fact occurring. So either this motion is wrong or something happened that shouldn't have happened. So, and the only other thing I would say is that I noticed that there's also infrastructure being built for Phase 2, and I know that Watersmith's Phase 2B. And there's nothing here about that, and I assume that'll come at a later point. And at my final comment is I'm going to apologize to the board for not being here during the working session, and I apologize for this essentially being a surprise to us, because we have continually asked for an opportunity to review preliminary plats. And we don't get that opportunity. So we don't get to see anything, we being the Mirror Lake Board of Directors, we don't get to see anything until now, and now I have to come to you and beg that you please remove this from the consent agenda and address these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if there's anyone else that's going to want to address the same topic if you did not know it was going to be on here. If you haven't signed up, there'll still be a chance to do that, because we absolutely were not, I was not aware of that during the work session. And so let me work my way through the list, and then if that is also a topic of concern for you, there'll be time for you to speak as well. Connie Wood.
Connie Wood, 217 Browning Road, Villa Rica, 30180. I was here when the council voted unanimously to dismiss Tom Barber. And then I was told this week that our mayor will not have the support of the council. Proudly, I think it was spoken to me, but I don't know how you all view your constituents, but I think that if you listen to your constituents, which you're supposed to, that you do what your constituents want you to do. You don't do what you want to do. And it's been clear, I've talked to many, many people, and the money that this man has cost us, the chaos that's created in this city is unbelievable. That y'all would consider keeping him after you've already said you were going to unanimously get rid of him. This is a sad day in Villa Rica. I think all of you ought to go out and at least talk to half of your constituents. It sounds like no one wants to talk to your constituents. Go talk to them. Don't look at Facebook. Don't listen to everybody else. Go talk to your constituents. I think if you do that, I think you'll find your true answer.
Cindy Tolbert. Cindy Tolbert.
Cindy Talbert. My business address is 120 Doris Williams Industrial Drive, Villa Rica. I'm a Georgia history teacher, and part of my curriculum is teaching local government. And one of the main points that I emphasize to my students is part of the Georgia Constitution. This comes from Article 1. All government of right originates with the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. Public officers are trustees and servants of the people and are at all times amenable to them. So, when I say that, I have to say, Mr. Momtahan, Ms. Marchman, Mr. Carter, Ms. Warmoth, and Ms. McCoy, you are singular voices for a very large constituency, the people of Villa Rica. And when you speak, when you vote, when you make moves, when you make decisions, you are those trustees in the Constitution, and you are also those servants serving the purpose of your constituency. And so I just have to ask, when you make votes, and I know this is not a question and answer, but I have to say, are you in the back of your mind saying, am I voting the will of my constituency? And am I making decisions for the overall good of the people of Villa Rica, which you all are a part of? Another thing, the neighborhood on the Cleghorn, Anderson, Darden Street, that neighborhood is a very, very old and established neighborhood in this city. Roots run deep there. For instance, the Chisholm family, they've been there longer than I've been here, and I've been in Villa Rica 63 years. My youthful appearance may be deceiving. However, the parts of this city that where people have dedicated their lives, their livelihoods, their blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, to build up their homes and build up their communities. We really, really have to look at what the people in the communities really want, and we have to work together to bring the old and the new together. It's got to be respect the old and welcome the new and find the happy medium. Thank you.
Alita Farmer.
Good evening. My name is Alita Farmer. I am representing my father. He's located at 216 Anderson Road in Villa Rica. And I am here to just voice my concern with how the easements for Darden, Anderson, and Clayhorn Road has been handled. We've had no communication. Recently, we were told that we would be notified before anyone would step foot on our property. And we had people staking our property. Yes, we were aware that we wanted it staked, but we were to be notified who would be the vendors that would be going into our property. We have older adults that are 70 and above. A lot of them are not in any mental capacity to be making decisions to let people on their property. And we have the city of Villa Rica taking advantage of them. I'm representing my father. He's 80 years old. I should not have to come here and represent my father to make sure that the city of Villa Rica is not taking advantage of him. Now, I'm not sure what the purpose of these easements are at this point, because it's starting to feel like this is not so much for the benefit of the city, but for individuals. But what I do know is if we continue to operate as such, I will pursue HUD, because I know that these easements are not legal the way they were written. And if any other area in the city of Villa Rica has any easements that don't have the same language that has already been recorded, I will take it to HUD. And I know we have government funding in the city of Villa Rica for some of these for some of these projects that you're operating under. So I'm just forewarning you. If you do not communicate with us and let us know what's going on with us, we are going to advocate for ourselves. And we're going to go beyond the city of Villa Rica if we have to go to the governors. Thank you.
L. Nathan Hare.
Good evening to everyone. I'm L. Nathan Hare. I live in Villa Rica, 6369 Oak Circle. I feel somewhat out of place now after all the other people spoke before me. But either way, I have a complaint, and two complaints. The Liberty communities that built homes in back of Twin Oaks subdivision. Some of the residents are complaining because where the retention pond is, that area is not being maintained by whoever's supposed to take care of it. The weeds and bushes and trees have grown out, and the residents want that area taken care of like it should be. And my main concern also is at South Carroll Road, where the Social Security building is, where I don't know who's pimping who, but you had workers there to build to repair the road where everybody turned that's coming off 61, okay? When they build a road, I seen it. I mean, when they improved the turn there. 2 days later, I took a picture of it. It was just like it was before they touched it, okay? I could have had my grandkids come out there and do that kind of job, okay? So what they're doing there, they're just putting gravel there or dirt and leaving it. That should be filled in with asphalt or cement or concrete or something that's solid, because they have, since I've been there, they have repaired that place, or should I say filled it in, at least 3 times, if not more. And it doesn't last very, very long because they're not repairing that area properly. That's all I have to say.
Matt, Ward 2. Ward 2.
Yeah, I know.
If you're going to be here till the end, let's make sure, I'm writing a couple notes next to your name so somebody can get back to you, and that involves a few of you, obviously, but that has a specific instance, so make sure you're connected to your council person. Let's get this taken care of. That's in Ward 2. Okay, anyone else that did not sign up that still wishes to speak? This is your time, because I am finished with the list now. Mr. Hare, I don't have your phone number on here, so let's make sure we get that before you leave too, for contact information.
I have his phone number.
You have
I
it?
have his number.
Okay, all right, thank you.
My name's Kay Smith. I live at 9636 Coastal Point Drive. That is in Mirror Lake. It is in Villa Rica. And if, for a lot of people who in Villa Rica do not realize, we are the largest subdivision in Douglas County and actually in Carroll County. We have a lot of constituents that our representatives do not listen to. I know that other parts of Mirror Lake also have constituents that try and talk to their representatives who they don't listen to. Now, my concern is I listened to part of your work session today, and I listened to Tom Barber say, well, we need someone to handle different sections, whether it's historical preservation or if it is lighting coming into a section, more than likely, because it's hard to know what y'all are looking at, because that's not discussed in detail on these work sessions to the constituents who are watching you. But this man has been in office in he says a long time. But in that time, if he is so qualified, which some of you think, then why in the world doesn't he know, and why hasn't he proceeded to keep a list of what the past managers of this city did and have a running list every year or every month that he needs to follow up on? And why in the world are we paying all these extra specialists to do a job that he is admittedly he's not qualified to do, because he wanted the former mayor to be here to help him? So, you know, which is a whole nother exactly joke. But then we're paying a whole lot of money to all these people that then y'all, as a council, vote in to come and take more of the Villa Rica residents' tax dollars to pay for someone who is supposedly a city manager who should have, in the time that he's been in office, which he's not elected, but he can go to all kinds of training. And when I was in city government, I was sent to a lot of training. And I know that it was available to me. I just had to request to go. So you, as city council persons, should be monitoring what you're spending our money on, and not just saying, oh, well, he's qualified and he does a great job. Then quit hiring all these other people to do his job. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak during public comment? Name and address for the record. There'll be time.
Chris Ertley, 213 Maple Street, Villa Rica, Georgia, 30180. I want to address the lady that came up before. Why are we having to pay more money for consultants and grants and whatnot? Because the current mayor decided to let the person that was writing most of Villa Rica's grants, that brought in over close to excess of $2 million worth of grants, go to the city of Chat Hills, over $25,000. So we're not going to pay a grant writer $25,000 extra more a year when one grant for the city will cost you 40 to 50,000 on someone who's not qualified, who's going to copy paste it. This grant writer was writing grants for the Gold Nugget Museum. They were writing grants for Parks and Rec. They were writing grants across the board. But our current management team decided to let that person go because we couldn't afford it. I say we can't afford Tom. I say we can't afford the "it's my boat." We, as your sorry, not saying this right. It's not coming out right. We elected you guys. We did not elect Tom. And I would like to see the will of the people, the will of the council, stand and not let one person, whoever that person may be in charge of the city. Because if you're unelected, you're unaccountable. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else? I know. Careful with the. Well, yeah, we can't speak out of plan. I'm so sorry, Marshall. But anybody can come up to the microphone and have their 3 minutes. So I want to give everyone an opportunity that hasn't spoken yet. Thank you. I know it's highly charged. And you take your time, because I know that is a rugged recovery.
Yes, it has been, but I'm almost there. Polly Oliver, 2511 Shoreline Parkway. I'm standing here representing, as Ken Willis did, 1,388 homeowners with an average of 2 voters in every house. So we're representing a lot of your constituents. I did not know that Waters Miss 2A was on the agenda for today until I opened it after the mayor sent it this morning. So thank you for doing that. We have been concerned. We've had a lot of issues about erosion going into the lake during the Pulte construction. I sent a letter off an email first thing this morning to quite a few of you that are in the room with the city. I know you've been in meetings most of the day with the same concerns that Ken brought up. It would cause us to have to go up on our homeowner assessments if the HOA were to take over these massive hills that Pulte has created. I don't think our homeowners are going to like that very much. That would have to, the way there are today, it would have to be hand mowed. It would be very expensive for the HOA. And if I am still in the president's office of the HOA, I will not accept that property for the HOA. So I'm asking the city, the people here, if you get a chance, please take a look at it. I would like some answers to the questions that I posed. And I do know that somebody with the city sent it on to Pulte because I got a call from the declarant late this afternoon. So we do need some issues on how this is going to be addressed. I understand it was on the consent agenda, which I was very surprised to hear that. So we've got a whole lot of residents that have a vested interest and are vested voters. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, my name is Eric Fisher, 9989 Bridgewater Point. As you can tell, I'm not originally a native Georgian. And I know that most of our elected officials are not either, native Villaricans. I apologize. I think only Miss Marchman is a native Villarican. I have lived here, though, for 20 years, and I chose to live in Villarica. I chose to move to Georgia, and I chose Villarica. I raised my family here. My children graduated from Villarica High School. We're proud Villaricans. Right now, I am not proud of this city or the council. I am tired of the mess that the city manager has brought to us, okay? To the people of Cleghorn, as a resident of Mirror Lake, I can tell you, I don't want the access through your developments or your homes. Why? There is nothing downtown that I want to come to. Villa Rica is not a destination. So what are they going to do? Build a road to nothing? There's nothing down here. I don't want the car path. I don't want to come through your neighborhood. I would love for you to have access to the Publix.
Mr. Fisher, this way, this
The
way.
bill of goods that we were sold on that development, the grandiose ideas that the former mayor and the city manager sold the city, that is not what we got. We have more chain restaurants that we didn't want. We have another Publix that some may argue we needed a bigger one, but we did not need. I hate driving out Shoreline and seeing this massive, ugly development. Mavis Tire is the first thing I see. I am embarrassed for the city, and I will tell you, elections have repercussions. Every single person on the council, I hope you make the right decision, because when it comes time for re-election, I highly doubt that the 5 people sitting there today will be the same 5 people sitting here come the next round of elections. You guys should be embarrassed because we're embarrassed for you. I love this town. I chose this town. And right now, I'm really embarrassed that I have. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has not had an opportunity? Which is why you understand why we limit it to 3 minutes, right? Or y'all might have to order dinner in and everything, so.
I'm not going to take 3 minutes. Luz Morales, 106 Legacy Drive, Villa Rica, Georgia. I, like you, moved here 19 years ago by choice. I stayed in Villa Rica. I had chances to move out of it, and I stayed in it. The only thing I want to address is I put an application to volunteer for the city for planning development, DDA. I said wherever my expertise can be used. Nobody's called me. Some people have even told me they've gone to their meetings and my application is not there. With all this chaos going on, I'm just putting it out there. And I've messaged some of you and said, hey, I'm willing to volunteer. I've got 19 years of EHS, so stormwater, I can help you out.
We need you.
HR, that's what I do for a living. I just want to volunteer in the city that I love. So my application's out there. If you want the help, there are many people here that I'm sure want to volunteer.
Thank you. Anyone else that has not had an opportunity that did not sign in, please come on. Yes, sir.
Rob Custer, 198 Daniel Road. I share the frustration of the folks that are sitting in here. I was told that I would be contacted at the last council meeting that I attended back in March concerning issues involving the process of variances and the advertisement on how they would go out so the folks would know what was going on with them. That phone call to date has not taken place. Why? I'd like to know why no one has contacted me in 2 months. Secondly, this incident that took place here with the speeding, violation of safety, etc., I've addressed the speeding and the safety issues on Daniel Road for 7 years. I'm at the end of my rope. I have talked to police officers about this issue only to get pushback about the fact that there's nothing they can do. I have talked to council members on this. It's gone nowhere. It's time for some action to take place. My wife was almost hit by a car going down Daniel Road, walking the dog that was in excess of 60 miles an hour. It's posted at 30 miles an hour, which I fought to get. I currently have addressed it to be lowered. The response I get is, it doesn't matter what the speed limit is, no one's going to follow it anyway. There is a total lack of cooperation here with the city and the police department to address our safety issues on that road. We constantly listen to the drag racing going on Edge Road and on Berry Road. We have officers that sit out there on Daniel Road, and I have literally watched cars roll through the stop sign, and they've done nothing. I want to end it with a statement that you made, that you released, Mayor, on this incident that took place with speeding. And you and I won't paraphrase it, I'll read it right off of Facebook. Let me be very clear, we have zero tolerance for this behavior in our community. We will have the back of our men and women in law enforcement as they seek to keep our community safe for the law-abiding citizens and for those who have no respect for the law or the safety of others. Where is that? I am not getting that. When is this going to happen when we actually get some safety out there into our neighborhoods? Thank you.
Anyone else during public comment has not had an opportunity?
My name is Jackie Childress. I reside at 1050 West Highway 78, Villa Rica, Georgia. I've been attending these meetings for 7 months now. And in those 7 months, I've heard almost everyone in this county supports our mayor, but you do not. I've tried very hard not to point anyone out. I spoke with my council member. He knows exactly where I stand. He knows where his constituents stand, but yet he refuses to remove Tom Barber. We've had enough. We will not keep coming before you, begging you to do what we have elected you to do. If you won't do your job, get out. Let someone who wants your job do your job, because you obviously do not want to do your job. You do not have the best interests of the citizens that voted you in at heart. This city is a beautiful city. We have beautiful people here. We have people who are rooted and grounded in this city. You obviously are not rooted, and you're obviously not grounded. We don't know what else to do to get you to understand that we not only want, but we need and we demand the removal of Tom Barber immediately.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Anyone else for public comment?
Joshua Evans, 640 Cleary Street, Villa Rica, Georgia. I'm just going to touch on something on there on your agenda. I noticed y'all got the little approval there for the $400-something thousand for a stormwater project there, I guess in front of Lost Cowboys and Uncorked. If we push that water, and this is facts, and I'll be glad to speak with Mr. Elliott in Georgia West. If you push that water right back here behind you, where it's already eroding that creek bank, and you push it down to Darden, where it's eroding that creek bank, you're going to buy some homes. You better get your bank account up, because you're going to be buying some. You're going to buy land where you're washing them folks' lands away. You're going to wash houses away. That creek's only getting wider and wider and wider. You can't push it. The grates and all that, that's not the answer to it. Wouldn't you think green infrastructure would look a lot better? Some beds that'll handle it, chamber underground that'll handle it. Piping it over to another waterway is not the way to do that. Y'all are already pushing water everywhere. We're shuffling water here to shuffle it here to shuffle it here to shuffle it here. Ain't the way to do it. Y'all gonna end up in some trouble. That's just facts. I mean, heard today, Georgia and West, they engineered it. Did you get any more engineers to look at it? I only heard of one. Now y'all had 4 contractors come get a packet, but only one consultant engineer gave you opinions on it, right? Yeah, I would look into that. There's a different way and there's a better way. That's a lot better for everybody. You can't keep pushing this water. You build that road, where you gonna dump that water? Straight to that creek. It's gonna erode more and more and more. You're gonna push it through Mirror Lake. When that starts eroding out over there, what you gonna do? State, can y'all come in and help us? Y'all did it. Y'all keep pushing water. The more asphalt, y'all got an ordinance here that says you want asphalt and concrete. The more asphalt and concrete you put down, the more water problems you're gonna have. Y'all ought to be ecstatic that people want to put gravel, because that filters it. That filters it in the dirt. Dirt soaks it up. That's what you need to be focusing on. I agree. We've heard Mop the Hand say many times, I hate that sea of asphalt up there at Ingalls and Walmart. And that's what it is. But we're asking for trouble. The more asphalt we put down and the more concrete. Can't keep doing it. And what you're going to do here ain't going to work. I'm just telling you. I mean, y'all can take it how you want, but I'm telling you, it won't work. It'll work for a little bit until it start washing houses away and eroding land. And then you're going to have to buy people's land because it's washing off into a creek. Then what you going to do? You bought dirt that's in a creek that you can't use.
Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else for public comment? Mr. Ertley, can you do it in 60 seconds? Okay. I hate to not give people an opportunity, but...
I'm sorry if my statements were misconstrued earlier. The director of special products was not let go by the mayor or the manager. The current manager let him go, let him leave, let him resign, so we lost that talent is what I was trying to say. He wasn't fired or anything, but you've got to, as a manager, you have to like look at your talent and see where your overachievers are. And I think it was a missed opportunity that Villa Rica lost by letting that talent go and not keeping it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Are we good? Okay. Is there anything we can do about the water miss? Can we do it like now before we get further into it? Okay, all right. That's what we're going to address. Okay, yeah. All right. And some of y'all may need to leave your numbers. We have name and address there. If there's some things we need to follow up on, and I'll just say this real quickly. I have found with the speeders all around the city that there's a lot of places where it doesn't matter what you post. The only way you slow some of these people down, because they just have no consideration for anyone else. I'm a big believer in speed humps. I just am, because it's okay. It's the only way you can actually make people. It doesn't matter. You could put 2 miles per hour and they don't care. They're just, it is a lack of being a good citizen in a community. And it's hard to make people behave in that sense. But we have some things we need to address. Council people, if you have any problem knowing who's your constituent with any of the speakers that you might to get back with, we'll work that out, okay? Because I do want people responded to, and I know people can get lost and fall through the cracks. Anyway, we have council updates at this time. If any council members want to share something that's an update or something you want everybody to know about, or a thank you or whatever it might be. Anybody got anything like that this evening? Yes, Councilman Momtahan.
I just want to remind everyone that early voting is going on right now at the Powell Park Arts Center, and there are elections on the ballot for state representative, school board, magistrate judge, I think also in Carroll County, and a host of
Congressman.
Congressman, I forgot, that's the one I was thinking of, Congressman. So, yep.
And also we have the green market going on every Monday night. It's been quite successful. The lady that does that puts a lot of effort into it, and the vendors that come, the vendors even threw their own money in the pot to try to add some additional advertising. That's Monday night here at the Mill Amphitheater from 4 to 7. There's some crafters, there's food, there's always some food trucks, ice cream trucks, and there's also fresh vegetables, and I'm sure we'll only be getting more of the fruits and vegetables as we go, mainly vegetables, further into the summer, because I know mine aren't ready. All right, we're going to go to the, yes. Oh, yes, yes. Sorry, I missed you.
All right, so I just want to point out real quick. I originally voted to continue Tom Barber's employment. After doing my due diligence and asking around, looking more into things, I came out and made the motion to terminate Tom. And I made it very clear that none of that, that decision was personal. It was absolutely based on what my constituents have asked of me. There's not much more that I can do on my own. And again, that I'm more than willing to continue to work with Tom Barber while he is in the position that he is in, because that's where we're at. But I just wanted to clarify that for you guys.
Any other council members? Yes. Councilman McCoy.
Okay, I'm looking back at my notes to say who it was, but I believe it was Connie Wood from Chippy's Place, where you said that you gave me an idea that I will admit I've sat here and I've stood by Tom. I have, out of frustration, I tried to fire him because I'm tired of this. But at the end of the day, I would like an actual succession plan in place. We don't have that right now. That is my hang up. That's where I stand. Love me, hate me, kill me, whatever. That's where I stand. But I am. I understand. I understand, Marshall. And Marshall, I'm not.
Y'all, we're not going to engage one another. It's okay. Go ahead and make your statement. We're not going to engage one another. It's
Okay. But I am going to listen to Connie, and I am going to go door to door this week. Maybe not this week. My daughter's graduating, but next week before the holiday, I am going to go door to door, and I'm going to ask people, and I'm going to take a survey, and I'm going to see what everybody says, because I think that is what I owe everybody at the very least. And I will go. I will try my darndest to hit a goal. I hope to hit. That's a really ambitious goal, but I do need to get my steps in. I'm going to try to hit about 500 homes, which shouldn't be too hard in Mirror Lake. I'm going to try to hit more than that, but I'm going to go door to door and talk to people. I'm probably going to get my face shoved in the door.
No.
But, or I'm going to get the door slammed, not in my face.
Think positive.
Thank you, Leslie. But I will go door to door, and I will do that. And hopefully, I know where y'all stand, and I know where y'all live, so I'm not going to waste, don't get upset, but I'm not going to go to y'all. Y'all put your addresses down. I need to hit as many doors as I can. So I'm going to go door to door. I'm going to start with my neighborhood and move out. And I think that is the fair thing to do. And I appreciate Connie giving me that idea. To talk to the Mirror Lake HOA, when I want to say this before we start the discussion. When I got it today, I believe, and the mayor can back me up, I believe it was the mayor who asked, isn't this supposed to be a public hearing? One of us asked, I think it was you.
We were trying to find out if it had one.
Yeah, if we had to have a public hearing. And I would, like anybody on council, mayor included, if I misunderstood, I believe it was Nick up, wasn't it? Was it Nick? Matthew? Okay, it was Nick up. My understanding was this was the final stamp of approval. Like, the variances had been done. This was us just putting our final stamp, hence why it went on consent agenda. If I had known, and I understand I'm not the most responsive person, and I apologize for that full-heartedly, but if I had known, I wouldn't have done that. So I have my personal number up here if you would like, you and Polly would like to have it, because I do answer that but we're trying to work a way so we can discuss it, because I agree with y'all, that's not right.
Okay, so as we move to the consent agenda, Councilman Carter?
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
I have.
Councilman Marchman. Yes, move that microphone nice and close.
I have been on this council for 20-something years, and I have worked for my constituents. You don't see me talking a whole lot, but I have given my number out. I have given Anybody can call me. I have not tried to get anybody to do anything that was wrong. I have not called anybody to tell anybody anything. I have asked for comments. Some people have come talk to me. I have done the best I know how. I'm only one vote, and I do the best I can. My number is on there, like you said. I have tried. I have worked. Yes, some things have been done that wasn't right. You haven't gotten, some people have not gotten what they want. But see, nobody has come talk to me. It's just one or two people have come, but you talk to somebody else. And I get all of the stuff that have been said. So I can do only so much. Tom has, maybe he's made some mistakes. Who in here can raise their hand and say they haven't? And just because you don't get what you want the way you want it, doesn't mean that things are not done right. Trying to help in communities, and I know you sit there and shake your head, that's your prerogative. But that man has worked, he's went out and tried to get with people and tell them, you took it and you twisted, he did this, that, and other. But when the facts go down, trying to help the community sometimes causes pain. I don't get what I want up there on my street. And no, nobody is doing anything that I see that's going to help. So if you don't talk to me, don't talk about me. Come talk to me. If you got a problem with me, come tell me. I'm open to listen to who all else. If you got something that you want me to know, and I'm not talking to no individual person, but if I'm open and I can listen and I'll do the best I can. I've always talked to the ones that needed talking to about the things in my ward. No, I don't say a whole lot up here. But when it comes time to me get in executive session to say what I think helps us, or go to the city manager to tell him what I think that we need. Maybe it doesn't get done. But don't say that I'm not doing anything for the community. I've heard that she ain't doing a so-and-so thing. But I'm doing the best I can with what I got to work with. And you sit up here, you don't go vote. And how many has went out? And if I'm not doing my job, when you need time to vote for me to move out, why you didn't go out and vote then? You didn't say a word, but now that they're trying to improve our communities. Yes, our community. I lived on Anderson Road, and I was proud of being on Anderson Road. But how many of you went out and put your name on the ballot to vote to get for Ward 1? None of you. Have any of you said anything to me? No. But now you want to say we don't do, the council don't do. We can't please everybody. So just let's work together and get this thing done. If you don't want what we're trying to do to improve that area over there, then we won't do it. If you want to just sit back and just let things just go, then okay. But let's work together. Go talk to Tom. You say he won't talk to you. Yes, he will. He might have not have talked to you when y'all wanted him to. But I know the man will talk to people. Now, he might not have talked to all of you all, but he talked to people. You might not have got the answer you wanted, but you give him another chance. But no, and the man did not say he was going to quit. He said he was going to look for another job. Now, anybody can look for a job. That don't mean you're going to get it. So let's stop all this bickering and grumbling stuff and try to work together and get things done. We want to try to nothing has ever been done, and you all know that, over on that side of town. But they're trying to make improvements over there, and you still grumbling and complain. So we don't know what to do. You raise your hand, but your time is up. It's time for us to do things now. So that's all I've got to say. My number is open. I'll be I'll be willing to talk to anybody that wants to talk to me.
We're going to address the consent agenda. I will say that communication does solve a lot of problems when people can get face-to-face, and that's what we need a lot of times. It doesn't solve everything, but face-to-face communication and accurate communication, I know that some of y'all have concerns about that, and I know what it is because I've been out there and I was confused. And I needed somebody to tell me what all those stakes meant and everything. I didn't know, and I couldn't explain it, and I feel bad about that. But I know you need it explained. And I would be the same way if it was in my yard, right? So we're gonna.
Agenda item 6, a lot of interest in the Water Miss Phase 2 final plat approval. I'm gonna make a motion that we remove item 6 from the consent agenda and place it as item A7, which will come after approval of the meeting's minutes. I'll make that motion.
Put it where?
Okay, it'll be moved. Item water miss, which is number 6 under consent agenda, will be moved on the second page at the bottom under the governing body. It'll be item 7.
A7.
What is 6?
I have one.
Just minutes, just a bunch of minutes.
Oh, okay, I was missing a 6 on this.
I have one comment to that.
Yes, Councilman McCoy?
And I hate to do this because the wheels of government churn so incredibly slow. But since we had the staff here during the consent agenda to talk about it and explain it to us, because now I have a lot of questions for staff that aren't going to get answered because they're not here, because we put it on consent agenda. I hate tabling. I hate it. I hate tabling stuff, but would it be okay that we could table this until next, since we now have a June meeting and not a July meeting, could we table it until then so that we can discuss it in an open meeting with staff here?
I think you need to move it off the consent agenda first.
Okay.
Put it down there, item 7, and then at that point in time, you can.
When we get to it.
Okay, because I think there's valuable information, and I'm seeing a lot of nods from my fellow council members, so
Okay,
I think there's.
No problem, we can table it.
Okay, perfect, thank
We
you.
do need the staff here to explain it anyway. So I have moved it off the consent, I made a motion to move it off consent and make it A7.
Number 6.
Okay.
Water miss.
Motion has been made to move water miss number 6, phase 2, off to the last page. I'm looking at the right.
Make it A7.
No, wait, I'm sorry. Second page, I'm sorry, apologize. Under A, governing body, it will be item 7, just under all the approval of minutes.
Okay.
Did you get a second?
Yeah, I'm waiting for.
Oh, second.
Everyone in favor? Any opposed? Y'all got that? Okay.
And so now can I do the motion to move it off?
We will do that when we get to it.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so you'll have to endure a little bit of the boring part. Thank goodness you weren't here to listen to us hash all this out, but I will read off the items that are on the consent agenda before we approve it. These are all items that we discussed at the 1:30 meeting. Number 1, amendment to 2023-2024 medical plan document. Number 2, proclamation for National Public Works Week for 2024. Number 3, resolution enacting a temporary moratorium on vape shops, tattoo parlors, and pawn shops. Number 4, resolution enacting a temporary moratorium on multifamily developments. Number 5, city council meeting modifications to add a June 2024 meeting. Number 7, review of VA-05-24 and VA-07-24, which is the variances for the Chick-fil-A to operate a temporary food truck at 779 West Bankhead Highway. Number 8, distilled package license application. Number 9, purchase of Waterly operations software. Number 10, the Golden City Cruisers mural at the mill. Number 11, revised bylaws for the Main Street Advisory Board. Number 12, revised bylaws for the Downtown Development Authority. Number 13, 2024-25 Classic Main Street Memorandum of Understanding. Number 14, 2024 Community Development Grant Application for the Villa Rica Lions Club. 15, Community Development Grant Application for Thomas Dorsey Birthplace and Gospel Heritage Festival. Number 16, surplus of 2010 Ford E350 van. Number 17, engagement of Tim Grizzard and Associates for the renovation of Cowan's Lake Dam. Number 18, engagement of Kingdom Technology Services for the refurbishment of the West Plant ultraviolet system. Number 19, approve the updated customer sanitation rates due to GFL's 5.3% rate increase effective July 1st, 2024. Number 20, proposed millage and budget calendar for the fiscal year of 2025. Number 21, it was a long agenda, y'all. This was all earlier. Thank goodness you're not listening to all these topics right now. Unfortunately, you have to listen to me read them. Number 20, proposed millage and budget calendar for fiscal year 2025. 21, FY24 budget amendments, numbers 238 through 241. Number 22, approve the low bid from HD Excavations for the amount of $434,065 to complete the Main Street Drainage Improvement Project. Number 23, approval of the development agreement between the City of Villa Rica and Villa Rica RTH Owners LLC for the upgrade of the Hickory Falls Sanitary Sewer Lift Station. Georgia Power Lighting Agreement for the Villa Rica Parkway. Number 26, professional services agreement with Ron Johnson to consult on historic preservation items. Number 27, right-of-way service with BM&K. And number 28, letter of support for senior housing development. Is there a motion?
So I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Would you announce, was that? Yes, I'm sorry. I mean, I have to assume it's unanimous, just for the people watching that can't. Thank you. All right, so we have approval of the minutes from numerous meetings. Can we do these, David, can we do these out as a group, or do we need to do them individually?
You can do them as a group if you choose to.
Anybody have a problem with that? Okay, that might save 30 seconds, I don't know. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just read them off. Approval of the minutes from the March 4 special called meeting, approval of the minutes for the work session for March 12, approval of the minutes for March 12, I'm sorry, for the work session, and then for the March 12 city council meeting, then the approval of minutes of the April 2nd, also a special called meeting, and the approval of the minutes for the April 9 work session, and approval of the minutes from the April 9 city council meeting. Does anyone, if you've looked over them, any corrections to be made? I usually would always send mine in advance, but, okay.
I move the approval if there's no corrections to be made.
I second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
That's unanimous.
Thank you. All right, number 7. I didn't write it down in, but I know what it is. It's water mist.
Yeah, Mayor, I'll make a motion to table number 7 to the June meeting.
Second.
My only thing is, and this might be after, I'm going to table
Okay,
it, don't
so we
worry.
have first and second discussion, that's fine.
Thank you. that we have a public hearing for it so the people can speak. Is that possible, David?
Yeah, you can choose to have a public hearing
Okay.
anytime you want to.
Okay, perfect.
If the council approves it.
Okay.
The
Then
majority of the council approves it.
then I'm okay with tabling it.
Is it your desire to have a hearing at this time or to table it? Or
No, I'm sorry, I'm not saying it correctly. It is my desire to table it. And when we do have it next month, have a public hearing. I apologize
Got
for the
it, no.
confusion. So they can speak on it while we're talking about it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, we have water mist, to table water mist. I'll entertain a motion. Motion? Shirley, second. All in favor? Any opposed?
That is unanimous.
Thank you. It's been a long day of meetings. Okay. All right, so item B, Finance, Jennifer Hallman.
Okay, good evening. We'll just real quickly do the financial update as of March 2024. We'll start with cash. Cash is at $51.4 million, which is a 51% increase. And you'll see that that primarily is due to the East Side TAD bond proceeds at $14 million and the East Side TAD debt service at $1.4. However, the general fund cash is at $13 million, which is 10% than compared to the last same time period last year. Water and sewer fund is down from 8.4 to 4.8. However, there's an asterisk beside there just to remind you that we're still waiting on some GFA reimbursements for some GFA loans. That as we spend the money each month, then we ask for the drawdown. So our cash will be going up in the water and sewer fund. Sanitation solid waste is at $270,000, and then the 2015 and 2016 Carroll and Douglas Splost, those have ended, so we're just earning interest on those, and then we're dwindling that money down because we have the new 2021 and 2022 Carroll and Douglas Splost that we are now collecting on. Residential permits and taps. Through the March of 2024, we've had 138 building permits at $284,000, 86 water taps, and 77 sewer taps, each being $130,000 and $308,000. Local option sales tax, I think I say this every month that I give this report, it continues to come in strong. Carroll County had a 17.9% increase from $172,000 compared to March of 2023 to March of 2024 of $203,000. And the Douglas County sales tax was $145,000 in 2023 versus $97,000 in 2024, which is a 36% increase. Property tax, we budgeted just under $3.5 million on the Carroll side. We've collected about $3.4 million, so we're at 96% on the Carroll side. And then on Douglas side, we budgeted 2.2. We've collected 2.1. Which is a 97% collection rate. We're still getting dollars from the property taxes. They're just smaller amounts, but we anticipate being at the 100% by the time the fiscal year ends. Business activity, water and sewer is our one of our enterprise funds, and the water and sewer fund, as far as total revenue, is around $6 million, and as well as the expenditures. But we have had an increase in revenue due to water and sewer taps, which is a one-time revenue source. However, our net loss right now, year to date, is just a little over $100,000. Oops. Our second business activity enterprise fund is the sanitation and solid waste fund. Our total revenue so far is $867,000, and our total expenses are $821,000. So right now we have a net income of just over almost $46,000. Self-funded insurance. This is where we pay our health care claims. The contributions come in from both the city as well as the employee. And so far, we've had $1.1 million in contributions. However, we have experienced high claims this year. I believe we have 10 to 15 high claimants so far this year. So I think this is going to be our big year as far as once every 5 to 7 years we have a high claim year. I believe this is where we're going to be experiencing that this year. So far we've had a loss in that fund of just under $100,000 through the month of March. However, we are strong in cash and fund balance because there's been previous years that we've actually. And that is it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I would mention, I remember when water and sewer would have been in the red, and we were constantly having to rob the general fund to hold something that's supposed to support itself. So I'm glad to see that. Same thing, we've struggled at times with solid waste keeping up, so it's good to see that. Our shining star of self-funded insurance has always been good news almost all the time. It's a little tough right now. However, the silver lining on that is that we are self-insured, and there's no telling what we'd be paying if we weren't, because we do have a plan. It's the best you can get, but I mean, cost of medical stuff is just outrageous right now. And so I know we've had a lot of good years. This is a rough year, but it's a tough time with medical cost and everything. I know even from the deductibles, even when you have insurance, how much it can cost. So it's great to see some of those things that I remember being in the red that are in the black. And that one, hopefully we'll have a rough year and it'll even out some. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Are there any questions from council on any of the financial? I mean, it's right there staring us in the face, but thank you.
Okay, you're
Appreciate. There's a reason you do that, not me. Just reading it and digesting it is enough. We are now to item C, city manager. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We moved that. That's right. We got rid of the Wikipedia. It is HR. You do not look like him. Okay. Ms. Jenkins. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I am here to present the two candidates that we reviewed earlier today for two of our department head positions. One is Diana DeSanto for the deputy city manager position, and Nina Shabazz for the community development director position. Both have been thoroughly interviewed, vetted by department heads, by city manager, and they have a signed offer contingent on your approval, a complete background check, and a drug screen.
Any discussion or questions? Well, we did most of this in executive session. Obviously, you're not going to talk about personnel right out in front of everybody.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion.
I'll entertain a motion if you're ready.
I'm going to make a motion that we hire Diana DeSanto as the deputy city manager. We'll take them one by one.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Any opposed? I'll entertain a motion on the
Help
second.
with that second name.
Nina Shabazz.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we hire Nina Savaz as our community development director.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed?
That is unanimous.
Mr. Barber, do you have a report? Okay, well, before we adjourn, I do have a statement. And then we'll let you all go home, especially for anyone that hasn't had dinner yet. Some didn't have lunch, I think, either. As citizens, business owners, community advocates, elected officials, and employees listening tonight, you have all witnessed in some form or fashion and been part of countless uncomfortable situations that have unfolded in our city, even if indirectly over the last few months. After a turbulent local election season, there have been many unpleasant scenarios which have both torn us apart at times, and in some instances brought out the best in each of us in our own right. The rally cry that illuminated from the community has been heard well beyond the city limits of Villa Rica. In fact, the specific issues arising from the former mayor being hired into an administrative role that he did not meet the qualifications for, and many believe to have been a direct violation of our city charter, who was also being compensated 6 digits in an annual salary, is just one direct issue at the core of many, which has caused angst amongst our council. This scenario, coupled with a recalcitrant city manager who spearheaded the hiring after he himself stated in layman's terms he would not work for Mayor McPherson if elected, is yet another violation of city policy regarding the interjection into a local campaign race, and sparked not only outrage from the community, but a call to act by our state legislature. HB 1487 was introduced by our local state delegation that represents our community and passed this past legislative session, and was recently, in the past few days, signed into law by Governor Kemp. This charter amended now empowers the mayor with the responsibility to seat the appointment of the city manager position within the city of Villa Rica. As the chief elected official of our great city, I am tasked with many responsibilities, which include but are not limited to working with the elected, being supportive of departments in the role they play, along with staff who deliver upon the services our citizens pay to receive. And last, but certainly not least, my primary priority is to serve the will of the people, coupled with what is ultimately the best for all citizens through quality of life, whom I serve within the purview of policy and the law. Tonight, we are once again faced to take up the crossroads we find ourselves upon. For me, the rationale for this decision has never been personal, nor has it been about retribution. It is now and has always been about what is best for the city of Villa Rica. I have no reservations about the decision that I believe we must make in order to move forward without the current city manager. I believe, after recalling the many comments that were made from previous city council meeting, where multiple members of this board who have in the past publicly supported the current manager have also at times publicly stated that they too were ready to move and to replace him so that our city would begin to heal. While I have no desire from my seat for negotiations in terms of departure, I do, out of respect for the city council, the position of the city manager as the chief administrative official, and what I owe to the city staff and ultimately the citizens of Villa Rica, will attempt to seek a seamless and peaceful transfer of administration authority for the dignity of all parties involved. Therefore, out of good faith and removing the appearance of any who would label this as only a power grab, I will now ask and instruct the city attorney, David Mecklin, to work with the city manager to present for my consideration an exit plan to be presented in writing no later than Friday, May 17th, at the close of the business day, upon which time I will review the plan and make a determination upon its merit after careful deliberation. I would like to reiterate, I am not in any fashion wavering from my commitment to replace the current city manager, nor should the city manager mistake my extension of grace as a sign of weakness, as there is no guarantee I will be amenable to the plan presented. As a Christian, I believe my faith along with my God-given ability to reason, forgive me, I'm sorry, I've maintained this composure as long as I can, with my God-given ability to reason, must help seat my position of welding authority and responsibility. The grace of God is often spoken in the Old Testament. It is not limited to a select few, but should be accessible to all, regardless of their background, social status, or past mistakes. To the citizens who have supported me, the staff, the state, the local elected officials, and most importantly, standing on what each of you ultimately believe to be just, I thank you. I know the trials and tribulations have been many, and at times the effort you have shown because your care is priceless to me. And ultimately, to our community in which you are peacefully fighting for. Council, I thank you ahead of time in allowing this process the opportunity to work. That's why I did not want to call, I guess, force a vote by dismissing the city manager on my own. I really do desire a peaceful transition if we can agree to one. At such time in the near future, if there can be an agreeable exit plan, or if there necessitates a different decisive approach, I will be prepared to make that determination and name a qualified interim city manager who will direct the day-to-day operations to keep us moving forward. In addition, I plan to solicit and take under notable consideration your individual thoughts on a permanent replacement. I do not plan to make that decision all on my own, and I do not believe it would be wise to do so even though the authority has been given to me. I believe that will allow us to govern as a team, accomplishing the best interest of our constituents and the community we all call home. And so what I'm saying in finality is that I want us to have an opportunity to heal, and if there's a plan that we can have for a smooth, peaceful transition, that is my ultimate desire. And I do believe I have several candidates who would be willing, if we come to that point, be willing to step into that position for a number of months so that we could find a permanent city manager at that time. And I cannot thank you enough. I know this has been difficult on everyone, not just me. It's been difficult on all of us. And I want to acknowledge that. And I know some of us disagree with one another, but disagreement never means that we have to hate anyone, right? We belong to different parties. We have elections coming up. We do not have to hate our neighbor because they have a disagreeing view on things. So I want to thank the council for being willing to tell me where they stand on this issue. And there will be further negotiations as we move forward. And I cannot thank the citizens enough that have texted me, called me, stopped me on the street and everything else, and given not only their encouragement and support, but their prayers. And I covet those prayers. Thank you very much. And